Today we're here with Suraya Williams of Design 26. So, how long ago did you start the foundation? Has it been a dream in your heart for a long time? Did you fall into it? What happened?
Life. Life, you know, when life happens to you and it comes at an age where I think also mentally you mature.
Okay.
But my story is a little bit off-sided. It is a long story, but I'm going to share some of it. You guys can just edit. But so my late mother was a dressmaker. She worked in one of the bigger clothing manufacturing businesses or factories in Cape Town. And in 1984 she was retrenched.
Okay.
And she started her own business, CMT, cut, make and trim, from home, and she was struggling. It wasn't good. She didn't make money. We lived from the hand to the mouth. And she always said, in those moments that I would stand next to her or be close to her, she would say, when I pass away, I want you to do this. And I have an older sister and a younger sister, but she insisted constantly that I do this.
Okay.
I scoffed at that idea because as a child, growing up in a house where you see your mother, being overloaded with work, but you never see it going anywhere.
Yes.
You can't wear the labeled clothing that you want to as a teenager, and you're saying to yourself, me going into an industry like this, are you mad?
Yes.
So I pursued a career in corporate. I scoffed at that idea of me ever being a seamstress.
Okay. And what did you do in corporate?
So I worked in corporate. I started, my first job was at a community newspaper as a receptionist, because you know how people are, you need to get experience. And at the time I only had a secretarial diploma. And I worked as a receptionist for 4.5 years. I worked for a recruitment, after that for a recruitment agency, and then everything was just going well.
Yes.
And I was very money driven.
Okay.
I was determined to be an independent woman, to be self-sustained by my own income and have whatever I wanted. And then my mom contracted yellow jaundice.
Okay.
At the age of 54.
Yes.
Suddenly, I was 29 years old, and it just happened overnight. She contracted yellow jaundice, and within weeks all her organs gave in.
Oh no.
She passed away on my birthday.
Oh no.
That is why Design 26, because people always ask me why Design 26?
Okay.
And because I live in Mitchell's Plain and people like to stigmatize. So that is where the name Design 26 stems from. So she passed away, and I obviously went through this whole questioning with God. Why my mom? Why on my birthday? Why? 3 months after she passed away, my youngest brother was killed.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You're gonna make me cry.
And I lost the plot.
Okay.
I questioned, I couldn't believe that, my mom on my birthday, then my brother, he was only 23 years old. And that kind of left me with all these emotions and having to work in corporate and dealing with loss and the overflow of work. And at the time I only had 2 kids. And I thought, maybe if I have another baby, it'll, take away the pain, it will distract my mind. I had him, and he was born sick.
Okay.
In and out of hospital, literally.
Okay.
Weak heart, immune system, heart gave in.
Yes.
And it obviously interfered with my career because I needed to be at work, but most of the time I found myself sitting in the emergency unit or in hospital with him. And during one of the times when I was at home, a cousin of mine approached me. And when my mom passed away, I inherited 2 sewing machines.
Okay.
It stood in my garage.
Okay.
It was just there. It was my mom's, and it was there. My husband was like, throw this thing away, give it away, it's taking up space. I was like, no, just leave it there, I want to give it to someone who's going to appreciate it, who's going to do something with it. And it stood there. And then during one of the times when my baby was in hospital, my cousin came to me and she asked me to make her daughter a 21st dress. And I said to her, I don't know how. She's like, yes, man, you have the machines.
Yes.
I'm like, no, I don't know how. She didn't take no for an answer. And she left the packet with the fabric.
So at this stage, you hadn't picked up your mom's sewing skills yet?
Nothing.
Wow. Interesting.
Not a needle, not a pin. I actually didn't love the industry. I saw it as a low-income laborers industry, where people are being sucked in, underpaid, exploited, and that was not what I associated my life or my future to look like.
Okay.
And so she came, she left the packet, and off she went. She's like, no man, you can, you know, your mom left you the machines, and I don't know, it's like giving a child a laptop or a cell phone and you expect the child to know how it works, even though the kids of today, they do.
Yes.
No, I did not. So she left the packet and weeks went by and I went to work, you know, and everything just went on as normal. One Saturday I was at home and I looked at this packet and I thought, you know, the date is coming closer and I need to do something about this because she's depending on me.
Yes.
I took out my mom's scissors because I inherited everything, like boxes of fabric and everything. I took out the scissors, I took newspaper, I sellotaped it together, I phoned her, I said to her, bring your daughter, I want to take measurements. Didn't know what I was doing.
Yes.
I promise you, I did not know what I was doing. All I knew was that this woman is depending on me to make a dress and I'm going to do it.
Okay.
She came, took measurements, and I told my son, bring the machine out of the garage, and started sellotaping newspaper together. I drafted this pattern. It was like, at the time, that bollerol pumpkin style dresses with the bollerol jacket.
Yes.
And, you know, I put this project together. I made this dress.
Okay.
When I finished that dress, it felt like an outer body experience.
Oh, really?
I could not. I picked up the dress and I kept on holding it like in my hand and looking at it, and in that moment I cried because I could not believe that I made this dress. Now it's like being someone that wants to come out of the closet, because nobody knows I can sew. Everybody knows I'm corporate. I love dressing up, going to work, looking put together. And now I have found something that makes me feel whole again. So I went to work. I didn't tell my husband, I didn't tell my bosses, nobody. I went to work. Every morning I would drive, I would put on my music, Mariah Carey I love.
Okay.
And I would like just sing and cry.
Okay. Sing and cry.
And it's the hero, you know, there's a hero lies in you or something like that.
Okay.
It's like really being gay and wanting to come out and tell people like this is me, but I did not know how it will sit with people. And one day I just thought, you know, because I came from work and I had some challenges at work, and I came home and I said to my husband, I want to start my own clothing line. And he looked at me and he thought like, what is this woman talking about? And he said, but you can't, can you sew? I said, I don't know, but I made without stress, so obviously, you know, I can give it a try. And he didn't answer me in the sense where he gave me permission to start a clothing line. His answer was, if you want to leave your job, it's fine, I'll support you. Because I think at the time he thought that I was just, it was too much for me to handle, having a sick baby, being at work, losing my family.
Yes.
And he thought, okay, maybe it's an excuse for me to just drop out.
So how long were you two together by then?
We were married. My daughter, my oldest son was 13 years old, so we were married 14 years.
Okay.
And he then said, yeah, okay, if you want to leave your job, it's fine, I'll support you. I went to work, took me courage and guts also to tell my bosses. First time around, that was in September 2012.
Okay.
Gave in my resignation. They didn't accept my resignation. Going anywhere.
Okay.
Offered me more money. I thought, okay, maybe it's the money that I need, you know.
Yes.
Who doesn't need money?
Yes.
I accepted the money, and 3 months down the line, I was back at their desk, and I said, you know what? And I explained, I said that I have discovered my passion, and I needed to pursue this in order for me to feel whole again and to accept what has happened. And I then resigned in January of 2013. February, my business was registered with uccc. I had a business bank account, 500 Rand to open that business bank account, and I started Design 26.
Wow.
Now, working in corporate and starting your own business is two completely different things.
Yes. Yes.
Did
you know that at that time?
No.
Ah, okay. Did you think it was going to be easier?
I don't even know what I thought.
Okay.
I knew because of working at an audit and accounting firm, I knew there was a thing as uccc where you had to register your business. I also knew that you had to keep your personal finances separate from your business finances, and that's about it.
Okay.
And I had the passion, and
Yes.
I felt whole.
Yes.
And that was it for me.
Wow.
You know, someone asked me the other day in another interview, and I said, I didn't even know there was something like a mentor. And I started, closed eyes, making, and it was just me alone. I was making like 26 of each garment in each style, and I would go to flea markets and sell my dresses, Old Mutual Flea Market, the Blau Klippen, and for 2 years, you know, I was selling, and in those 2 years I would also donate a matric dance dress to one of the girls in Mitchell's Plain.
Okay. So you've always had a heart to do something that's socially relevant and useful and supportive.
Yes. So for me also, when I started my business, I always had that, even in my business plan. I always had that community involvement aspect of wanting to do good in my and change. Because I grew up here. I was 2 years old when my parents moved into Mitchell's Plain, and I've seen a lot. And I think I've seen too much, so much that I want to put a stop to it. And I know that people say that you can't save the world, but if I save one person, that will be a contribution to saving the world.
Yes.
And I donated a matric dance dress. 2 years. And then I realized, okay, Suraya, you are selling all these beautiful garments, but you are not making a profit. What am I doing wrong? And then the University of Stellenbosch, they have a small business management course.
Okay.
And it was in the Plainsman. I applied, accepted, you know, attended this course. And soon I realized, okay, before you can be profitable, before you can be charitable, you need to be profitable.
Yes.
I stopped giving a dress to a matric girl. We also learned, you know, how to focus on a specific product that you see is growing, the market, all of those things. And I started focusing more on matric dance dresses.
Okay.
And in that way, I got involved with girls in matric.
Okay.
And in school.
Okay.
And I started making, you know, and matric dance dresses were blowing up. Children were going to matric dances like they were going to weddings and things. And I did that from 2015 until 2018.
Okay.
And every year when the results would come out, I would do a follow-up call with my customers. You know, it's either the mom or the granny, whoever came to see me for the dress, and I would phone and ask, you know, so what did Melanie do? Is she going to varsity? Is she going to go and study? Is she going to work? You know, what is she doing? Because education for me is very important.
Yes.
And in some of the cases, the mom would say, yes, she's going to varsity. Some would say no, we don't have the money to go, send her for further studying. The others would say no, she can't find a job because she doesn't have experience. And in the sad cases, some of these girls have been affected by teenage pregnancies. And that didn't sit well with me. And it bothered me so much because I thought to myself, I give a dress to these girls every year. What impact, long-term, sustainable impact am I doing by donating a dress?
Yes.
It's that one evening, and I understand that most people in Mitchell's Plain celebrates it very highly because maybe it's the first child in the family to ever get it to matric.
Yes.
Or maybe it is the child that does well in matric.
Yes.
And I wanted to be part of that celebration because even as we're sitting here today, my daughter started varsity this year. And she is the first one in my family to ever set foot in a varsity.
Yes.
So I wanted to contribute to long-term growth for people in my community and change.
Yes.
And I said to my husband, you know what? Again, but I was sitting that day, I was sitting on my laptop and I said to him, I want to do something more. Than just giving a dress.
Yes.
Because every year I'm giving a dress to a young girl, but it's just a dress. It's not doing anything, Yes, it's memories, nice pictures and whatever. And he walked past and he said, why don't you become a teacher? You like to talk.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, why is he being sarcastic?
Okay.
Because I'm an entrepreneur, my husband is an employee.
Yes.
And so, for him to understand me, sometimes it takes a lot of cells in his brain. And he said, teacher. And I thought, teacher. Okay, what do I have that can be as teaching?
Yes.
And I Googled. And I came across an article. I don't know what I Googled, but this article popped up and it said 1/3 of girls that between the ages of 15 and 20 years old falls pregnant in Cape Town every year.
Wow. 1/3?
1/3.
Wow.
And I was like, what? No. I have a daughter. I have children.
Yes.
And I can't imagine what it must be like to be a mother at such a young age. Being dependent on a social grant of 350 Rand.
Yes.
How do you live?
Yes.
Like, my eldest son eats that up in a day.
Yes.
Like a whole month on a 350 Rand. And, okay, so then, I just saw that article and that was it. I didn't still think anything about it. Yes, it affected me, but it was just like, okay, and my husband said, become a teacher. I then I saw again in the Plainsman, there was an article for a perfectly posh high tea in aid of children that can't read.
Okay.
And once again, it had to do with education, and I am so over that. I went alone. I purchased a ticket of 250 Rand and I went to Claremont. I went to this perfectly posh high tea. I thought, I'm contributing to some child being able to read one day. Went there, I sat alone, not alone, okay, it was a table of 10 women, and next to me was an African American woman, and we were talking, and I was telling her my story, and in our conversation, it just slipped out, and I said, I want to start. It wasn't even like happening yet. I didn't have all of these machines. I still had those 2 machines of my late mom. I want to start a sewing skills training center for young girls that falls into the NEET category. And she was like, wow, that's amazing, whatever. And then, on the stage, they had like this designer also and showcasing her clothing and stuff. And then she said, if anybody wants to come and tell their story about anything that they're wearing, and I had a dress on that I made myself. And this woman was like pushing me halfway off the chair, like, go and tell your story. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. And one of the Cape Argus reporters was standing close by, and she approached me and she said, like, there's obviously a story here and you don't want to go and tell it. Is it okay if I call you after this and listen to your story and whatever. And I told her, she phoned, and I told her my story of me wanting to start this training center in Mitchell's Plain. And the article was out in the Argus, and the morning when the Argus came out, my husband went over to the mall, he bought like 5 copies.
Oh, good.
And while I was like looking through this article and reading it, I get a message on my Facebook Messenger. And you know when you're not friends with someone, it's a request for you to
Yes.
And I see this guy's name, Sibo Seesaw. And I'm like, okay, what does this guy want from me? My husband says, open it, you know, nothing to lose. I'm always scared of scam and stuff.
Yes.
Open it, and it's some project coordinator or something from the SABC3 Expresso show.
Okay.
And he's asking me, he saw this article, and I'm opening this foundation. I did not have anything.
Nothing in place, and you're already in the national press.
They want to come, and when am I starting? And they want to come and feature me on the Expresso show and whatever. So I said, well, I haven't really put everything into place yet. It's an idea, but I'm hoping to start in March, I think it was 2018. He says, okay, well, you let me know once you set up and what. I then decided, okay, this is it.
So you had to commit because you had the TV coming.
I'm going to do this. I then, you know, put it out on Facebook. We're going to start the sewing skills training, and it's going to be free.
Okay.
And people ask me, why do I give it free when I myself need an income? And I'll explain that to you now. I said it's free. In the beginning, I used to pick the girls up from their premises and drop them off again. And when I put the whole program together, I looked at barriers that is preventing a young mother or a young girl from getting out of Mitchell's Plain.
Yes.
What are those barriers?
Yes.
Firstly, it's money.
Yes.
You get a 350 Rand social grant.
Yes.
You have to pay for traveling out of Mitchell's Plain to go and get a certificate or to get experience. If you are a young mother or a person getting that amount of money, are you going to use that to look presentable and go for an interview? Are you going to use that to travel? Or are you going to buy food?
Food first.
You're going to buy food.
Yeah.
And those were the things, you know, my hope also in the future is, when I'm going to get there, I'll tell about it, but also to get like an ECD on my premises, because what are the other barriers? You know, child abuse. You don't have the money to put your child in a Lani daycare. So you ask the neighbor's son or husband or somebody is on drugs, your child gets raped at the age of 18 months.
Yes.
And so those are the things that are all standing there in the way of these young girls, and we are saying they don't want to work. They don't want an opportunity. But we're not looking at the reality of these girls' lives on an everyday basis.
Yes.
Why are they sitting on the corner of the road?
Yes.
Who expects somebody to go out into corporate, into the world of Woodstock, Salt River and City, looking like, you know, the first thing is people judge you when you walk in at a door.
Yes.
Even if it's for a cleaning position.
Yes.
You need to be dressed for the interview.
Yes.
And you're going to come there and someone's going to look at you like...
Yes.
And so those were the things that I was looking at.
Okay.
And I tried and structured my course around that and offering it free of charge.
Okay.
Because and all I want is commitment.
And are you still running that model today?
Yes.
Wow.
Free.
So the girls just have to show up and commit.
They just have to show up.
Wow.
And I'm very, very strict on commitment.
Okay.
Very strict.
Okay.
As much as I give it to you for free, if you are not committed, there's the door.
Yes. And how do you measure that commitment?
Showing up.
Okay.
Showing up.
Yes.
Not your ability to be able to work fast or to be the smartest or anything like that. you just have to be here every day.
Okay.
Because first of all, I need to first change your mindset.
Yes, 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 yes. And that's a long job, not a day's work.
That is what is lacking, is that we are expecting people to walk in and leave the emotion
Yes.
of what they are facing in their circumstances at the door and produce for us.
Yes. Yes.
It needs to be your first home. Like Design 26 is my business, is what I get up for in the morning. I want my staff to feel the same passion, is to want to be here. It's like they are making a contribution. You know, it's not just my dream. I want to know what's your dream. What do you want to be? And if I know what your dream is, I can work you towards accomplishing your dream.
That's amazing. So
Question.
So how do you pay for that free training?
Okay, so I do have paid classes also.
Okay.
And it is for women, because you do get women that works, that maybe can't find a specific size of clothing or type of clothing in the store for themselves, or they have children that they want to sew for, or as a hobby, or people that wants to start their own businesses. They are working, but they would want to do like a side hustle. So those are the classes that I charge for. So it's a beginner's class, it's an advanced class, and it's a pattern making class.
Okay. Is your pattern making class busy?
Not really.
Okay.
And because of my space,
Okay.
I can only accommodate so many at a time.
Yes.
Yeah, and so, you know, then it was in the newspaper, and then I put all of this out on social media. And I asked my husband again,
Okay.
I need your garage, because
Okay.
at the time this space was occupied by tenants, because also when I left, I had my husband build this because I saw it as an income for me, building this, putting people in here, tenants, and renting it out. It's an income. And my husband is like, okay, yeah, he's very supportive.
Okay.
Extremely. I have never ever seen any partner being so understanding. I always hear of people running businesses and they're struggling because, you know, they have to like cut themselves in half because the husband is, or the wife is nagging.
Yes.
And you have this passion.
So do you feel that a supportive partner is actually like kind of part of what you need to get right as an entrepreneur for sustainability?
It's a key. You know, there's going to come a time where you'll have to choose. If your partner is not supportive, you're going to have to choose and say, is it going to be my love for my business? Because it takes a lot of your time. Sitting in bed next to that partner, creating a post for tomorrow, talking. He's talking and you're saying, but you're not really listening. You know, on your laptop, supper time, you kind of eat like this and you're talking.
Yes.
And not just your husband, your whole family needs to share in that vision.
Yes.
It is very, very important.
Yes.
If they don't, you either leave the partner or you leave the business.
Yes. 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 Yes.
It's not going to work out.
Yes. Yes. It's a tricky thing to juggle
and
as an
I must
entrepreneur.
say, in the beginning, because my husband is not an entrepreneur, he did, and I think it's because of the love that he has for me. When he saw me suffering and doors being closed in my face and no's and stuff, he took more offense to it than me.
Okay.
Because he would feel like, you know, you're putting yourself out there, you're putting in so much work, you're doing good, and people are closing the door in your face, and why, you know, don't go, it's not necessary. It's like, you know, they're wasting your time, now you have to go there again and whatever. And for me, I always used to say to him, if I go to a networking function and I meet one person in that room, to my contact list, it's going to have an impact on my business. Maybe not now, but in the long run. because networking is very important.
Yes.
You cannot sit in a space and create and have a passion and you're not putting yourself out there.
Yes.
I am not a very social person. I am, my real self is an introvert.
Yes.
I hate being in front of cameras and people.
Yes.
But because I love Design 26 so much, I put myself out of my comfort zone
Okay.
in order to achieve a goal that is going to have an impact on someone else's life.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, because so many people are like, well, you're able to just appear on camera. You're lucky that you can do this.
Yeah.
So you're not lucky. You're pushing through a real fear barrier right now.
I constantly do with my hands because that is how I control myself.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And I say as long as you do something with a good intention, God is going to get you to where you want to be. Values and ethics for me is very important also, and especially in a business world.
So, have you got an absolute favorite moment from something that's happened here with one of the girls who's come in that has made you feel, you know what, that was that one person whose life I changed?
I always have that. Like every morning when I come up and I walk in by that door and they are here and they look at me and they smile. Because a smile is a very important thing also. It tells me that you are content, you are happy. And when I look at their faces, I know that I have changed a small thing inside of them.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps.
Like that for me, like all of these things, like since I lost my mom, all of these things that I have, it's here, I see it with my eye, but it means nothing if I don't have loyal people and people that I can trust.
Yes, yes.
I hate lies. I even tell my children, you know, whatever you did, it doesn't matter how bad it is. You come and tell me, and I will decide how to deal with it. But don't lie. Please don't lie. Because I may come across as rude sometimes, but I'm very honest. So much to a point where you think, okay, look, this woman is rude.
I think you probably need your honesty in your line of work. I'm pretty certain that if you're not straight down the line and very direct with people in your line of work.
I think in general it's business. Because when you start a business and you will be presented with a lot of opportunities, some unethical and some sincere. And you must be able to see which are the ones that are wolves dressed in sheepskin, and which are the ones that is sincerely there to take you through this journey and help you. I've had many people say, you know, I can help you. And I listen. And if it doesn't sit right with me, then it's fine if you say I'm stupid. It's fine if you say I don't want to take my business to the next step. But I'm not going to sell my soul. Because it's going to come back.
Do you have a gut feel?
Yes. Like like my heart tells me, I will sit. And in my head, oh my God, you don't want to be in my head. It's like that. And so I will sit and I'll contemplate. Okay, you said this. And I'll weigh. No, not.
So I would like to circle around, just for the sake of our narrative, to the fabric that we used this week. So I would like you to just tell me the story of where that fabric came from originally.
Okay, so because we've got the training center, we get donations.
Okay.
So I get these fabrics. For me, it's gold.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
like the pieces that you get out of there,
Yes.
we make little baby grows.
Okay. Okay.
It's big enough.
Yes.
And we print on there and we sell it.
Okay.
And in that way, we make money.
Yes.
We make profits. And
Yes.
the profits goes to the foundation.
Okay. So you found a very clever way to actually self-fund this.
Yes.
Through this hybrid model that you've got going.
And I think also like with this clothing, you know, baby clothes, especially when it's a first-time mom,
Yes.
it doesn't immediately, after it's been worn, go to the landfill.
Yes.
It just, the next baby wears it.
Yes.
I still have clothes of my babies.
Yes.
And I'm keeping it for my grandchildren because
Yes.
I want them to say, you know, this was daddy's little grow when he was 2 months old.
Yes. Yes.
So I look at it as it's like also a long
Yes.
term
Yes.
product that is not immediately
That's so interesting because I don't have children, so I almost viewed baby grows as like that single-use item that your kids grow out so fast that it's only used once. And here you're telling me that actually they stay in the use stream for a very, very long
Yes.
time, and that they may be kept for decades.
and like even if you're not having a second baby, you know, there's always family.
Yes.
And these plastic baths, then you pack it full of clothes and you give it to a family member.
Yes,
Or
yes.
you give it to a friend, or you give it to somebody who's told you about somebody who can't afford to have baby clothes. And,
Yes.
and it goes,
Yes.
but it also depends on how well it's being looked after, because you don't want to give people stuff that looks like
Yes. Yes.
rags.
Yes. Yes. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. So you specialize in baby clothes.
No, we've got a range of women's ready-to-wear clothing.
Okay.
And for that, we obviously need to go and purchase fabric.
Yes. Yes.
Which is a challenge because it's expensive.
Yes.
We
Yes.
don't have the capacity to buy in containers and rolls of fabrics, and we're always faced with the challenge of the cheap imports
Yes.
and having to compete with.
So I've heard a story from many of the people who live here in Mitchell's Plain that this used to be like a thriving centre for textile manufacture, like sewing workers and that kind of thing, and that Chinese imports have completely killed that kind of source of income for this area. Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so if you look back into our history,
Yes.
most of people living in Mitchell's Plain is coloured.
Yes.
And where does coloured people come from? So it is obviously when the colonialism came here, they brought slaves, and a lot of the people is like Indonesian, Malaysian,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that is my descendants too.
Yes.
And that was their trade. And
Okay.
they were brought here as slaves to come and do their trade.
Yes. Yes.
So the coloured community, because they were mixed with
Yes.
the Dutch and the French and all of those, and eventually from their Indonesian descendancy, that we are now coloured.
Yes. Yes.
And that is where that trade, because you'll see that like every third or fourth person you know in Mitchell's Plain, it's either the mom or the grandmom or somebody did sewing.
Okay.
And like I said, in 1984, I think our government has made the worst mistake. If you look at Shein, how damaging that is for our economy. And Shein has got a business model where they don't ship all these products in containers and being sold in a shop here, so that they're being charged the proper import duty and taxes. You purchase one item and they send it to you at like a very low cost or something. So in that way, it's still infiltrating, because now people are online, people are buying those clothes online.
Yes.
And businesses like mine and even the bigger corporates or retailers are feeling it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I get frustrated, and when I go into a mall You know, I see all these shops. It's not local brands. It is like imported shops where people selling things for 50 Rand and 100 Rand. And I understand that there's some people who can't afford, you know, to buy a Woolworths item. But we have Pep, we have Ackermans, we have Mr. Price. Why must we have these imported brands and shops and retail shops in our malls? You know.
So I find it quite a sad thing that South Africans, in my opinion, don't support local enough, particularly around clothing. We've got such great designers. We've got great manufacturing. When we used to have great manufacturing.
Yes.
You know, the workforce is there. We've got so many people who are unemployed. Like, we've got a workforce.
You know what?
So why is it so hard to get local, to support local?
If I look back when my late mom was sewing, and you get your designer that's creating the design and, you know, putting fashion out there, starting trends, and you get the CMT cut, make and trim.
Yes.
And then you get the normal retailers that we are all used to.
Yes.
You know. And they are saying they want to incorporate local. But in my opinion, and maybe it's just a small opinion, but I think they're going about it wrong.
Okay.
Firstly, why do we only just have still the Woolworths, Foschini, Truworths, Edgars, Mr. Price and Pep and Ackermans?
Yes.
Because all of those big brands are not looking for a competition as in another clothing store.
Yes. Yes.
They are looking for CMTs who can make their clothing.
Yes. Yes.
Underpay
Yes.
those CMTs.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Those CMTs stays in the garage.
Yes.
And they just make more retail shops in the whole of South Africa and abroad. But that CMT is not growing.
Yes. Yes. So for me, it's a bit of a conversation, because ultimately I feel the consumer drives the market. And like, even me, if I walk into a shop and I go, oh, I bought 5 of these and I only paid $100 for that, I feel quite good. And it's morally reprehensible, because the people who made that clothing are working for that virtual slave labor. They're getting paid so little. And yet we still feel so good about ourselves when we've made a saving. And I feel it's that narrative that we need to start to flip.
When we start introducing, it's people don't like change. And that's the problem. When we start introducing, and I'm going to make an example, and I want to use a specific company or brand or retailer, but if one big retailer says, okay, Design 26, I feel like that I would help another brand, and if that brand even becomes bigger than me, then I have achieved success because I have helped someone else.
Yes.
But I understand it's a business world and they don't think like that. But if you want to grow our retail market so much that there is for that person that wants to buy 3 items for 50 Rand, then those big retailers should take these small manufacturers and make them into another competitive brand, another shop, and say, okay, we're going to help you, we're going to set you up. You will be able to import fabric or even get a fabric manufacturer set up in South Africa or Cape Town. But we're going to help you import thousands of meters of fabric, and you're going to be maybe the next Pep stores. But maybe on between a Pep and Mr. Price.
So you see Design 26 in the retail space? Amazing.
That's the change that I want to see.
Amazing.
I want to see Design 26. I want to see Cherry Couture. I want to see brands like that being the next big retailers.
Yes.
But no, they're keeping us there. They're telling everybody that we want to go local, but we want you to make this t-shirt for us at like 35 Rand.
Yes.
And we go and sell it at 250
Yes.
because our overheads are more than yours because you're working in your garage and that is where you're going to stay and die.
Yes.
And that irritates me.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
I have these young girls that I'm training. And some of them wants to not work for me forever. I love that. I want to know what is your dream, what do you want, what are you passionate about? And if you are passionate about starting your own clothing line, whether it be lingerie, whether it be whatever, and if I help you, and one day when I have my retail store Design 26 and you have your lingerie store that for me is being successful. Yes, it's a competitor, whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, we are now expanding the market locally.
And the collective has more pulling power for the consumer.
Running a CMT to me is not running a business.
Okay.
It's being employed by those corporates.
By fashion.
You are not running a business, I'm telling you, because they're dictating to you how much you must pay, how much they pay you, how much you need to produce, how much, what the style needs to be. They give you the style, it's already in a pattern or whatever.
Yes.
Don't be fooled by people telling you that running a CMT is running your own business.
Okay.
It's not.
That's a very interesting insight.
Is not.
Very interesting
You
insight.
are a subcontractor, like they call it in the building industry. You are a laborer because you don't have the last say. You give me 2,000 garments in a week's time and I give you 20 Rand per garment. If there's something wrong with the garment, you're not getting paid. That's not running your own business. But even government, you know, we as small businesses, we go to government and we ask for funding. We ask for loans at the bank. And the first thing they ask you, where is your letter of intent? Where is your contract with the bigger retailer that you are going to be working for them? And if you don't have that, then they want to know, so how are you going to then get your business to become self-sustainable? Because you need to be enslaved to those that's already there. But if the government and all of these retailers had bigger visions, they would say, okay, we love your business model. We see that it can be self-sustainable. How can we help you? Not how can we enslave you further and impoverish you further. Because that is what is being done.
I'm loving that you're saying this. Thank you for giving voice to this message. A lot of people do not understand when they buy a garment in a store. This other backstory. It's so important. It's so important. We need to hear from clothing workers.
And some people are scared. Some people are scared to say it as it is, and I'm sorry. You know, my late mom was scared. And I'm not going to be scared. Because if you sit back and you really ask yourself, okay, so if you were boss, you make the decisions, you costing, you giving the price, you know? So then they tell you, we're looking for CMTs, we're going to help you.
You're going to help us. You're going to help us.
No.
Yeah, you're going to help us.
How?
Yeah.
By making me produce a garment for you at 35 Rand, at 50 cents per minute. My people that is working for me is not happy. They're not coming to work because they're being underpaid. and if the garment is not quality, then we don't get paid, and sometimes the small business can't even pay the people, but they've worked. You're not a boss, you're employed.
I love that insight, thank you. Thank you.
Like, I've been through it, and that's why I can say, and not just in my journey as a business person, but also growing up.
I love that you've got that generational perspective as well.
Because she was good. She was damn good at what she did. And I saw this woman coming every day, dropping boxes of, garments, and every week she would come and fetch it. But my mom stayed in her garage, It never went anywhere further than that. And she was happy and she was humble, but no.
Wow, thank you.
So I wanted to also say that, when I started the foundation, and when I asked my husband to paint the garage, I started with those 2 sewing machines.
Okay.
And people sometimes make excuses, and they're like, oh no, I don't have this, and oh no, I can't, and oh no, this and that, or whatever. I feel that if you want to,
you'll make a plan.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't make millions. I don't even make thousands. But I'm making a difference.
I love that. I love that so much.
And that for me is important. I am going against the grain. People will tell me, if you want to run a business, you need to be profitable, you need to make money, and I understand all of that. But I also feel that if you don't want to help me, then God hasn't chosen you to help me. Because God puts people on your path. And He has chosen me. He has given me this gift. And I need to make sure that I carry on or out what He has blessed me with. Because there's no way you can grow up and work in corporate for so many years and get onto a sewing machine. Like all of these dresses, if I look at this, I cry. And for me, I can't believe, up until today, my business is 10 years old, and I still stand here sometimes and I'm like, how did all of this happen?
Out of 2 sewing machines.
But I love it. And my kids will go scared, because sometimes I'll make a joke and I'll be up here and they'll bring me coffee or something at night, and we'll hear like a sound or outside or whatever, and they're like, that's Mom. They're like, no way, they're going down now. But for me, I feel close to my mom.
Yes.
And maybe that's my way of dealing with the loss, but I'm happy. And I am putting a smile on someone else's face. And that for me is important.
So for me, what I love so much about your story is that you've gone from corporate, that whole corporate success thing, to, no, I'm going to live out my meaning.
I sometimes miss it.
Okay, what do you miss? What do you miss?
Like the friends, in business it's lonely. And you can't trust everyone. Because everyone comes across as they are wanting to help you. They are there to save the day. But they are just there for the sake of, I don't know. I've lost a lot of people during this period. I've had a lot of people telling me how they'll support me when I start my own business. Some of those people are gone. I've let some other people onto the bus, and along the way they got off, and that's fine. And I think it's also, as you grow and age, life becomes or has different meaning to you than when you are young and silly and don't have a care in the world. It's not easy running a business. You need to have 2 hearts and 1 kidney.
2 hearts and 1 kidney. Please explain.
2 hearts meaning that you need to have a heart for people and a heart for your business, and the 1 kidney is when you are so busy and you forget that you have to go and pee sometimes.
You need a spare one.
Or you're keeping your pee in and you're like, okay, no, I don't need to go pee now. It's like not necessary.
I love that. That's wonderful.
It is a lonely place to be in when you are starting, and especially for me, you know, I don't have that. I sometimes go to networking functions and it'll be like designers and dressmakers, but they've attended the same varsity doing dress design or the same college, and they're like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while, whatever. And I feel like the outcast. And I feel like, okay, am I supposed to be here? But I'm going to take my spot because I belong here.
Yes.
You know, I might not have the degree for it.
Yes.
But I know what I'm doing.
Yes. Yes.
And, yeah.
So on that note, I sometimes personally get pushback from textile designers who've studied at university.
They have a very big ego, I must say, Shane.
Because they'll say to me, but you don't have a qualification. And I'm qualified by my 10,000 hours of mastery. I've done this thing again and again and again.
Yes.
I didn't learn it in 2 years, I learned it in 20 from doing it.
And that for me is more valuable. It's the experience. The job.
I'm not knocking the qualification. I'm just saying don't knock those who don't have one. Yeah.
But I've always been a believer of that. That even when I went for my interview at my corporate jobs, you know, they used to ask me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Those common questions. And at my last company, I said, you know, I can sit here all dressed up. I can speak beautifully. I can sell myself. But can I do the job? And you'll only know, I can give you 1,000 certificates. But you'll only know once I start working.
Definitely. So, back to that cliched question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So, we have recently purchased a piece of land.
Okay.
And that for me is my biggest achievement.
Okay, so what are you doing on the land?
We are going to construct or build the first sewing skills training center in Mitchell's Plain. And it'll be like a sewing skills entrepreneurship hub.
Okay.
Where, you know, we train these young girls. We have Design 26 that manufactures, but we also have a space for them, because to buy one machine is expensive. And those are one of the barriers of also getting your product off the ground is when you don't have money to purchase. I started with the 500 rand, and yes, I had inherited 2 sewing machines. But what about the person who has nothing? But who has an idea, who has a passion, who wants to start, you know, is to give them access to these machines. A room full of different kinds of machines.
Oh, I love it.
And
I love that. Different kinds of machines. That's great, because then they'll be able to work on different machines also.
And not charge you.
Oh,
because that is helping people. You know, don't pay me anything. I want to see you succeed. You have a problem. What is your excuse? I don't have a machine. Here's the machine. I don't have transport. We'll come and get you and put you there. Where am I going to put my baby? Your baby's going to go in that daycare. And tonight when you go home, you are happy. You are content. You've seen your child. Your child is safe. You got to work safe. There wasn't some protest going on stopping everyone in Mitchell's Plain going to work, and you had to lose out on a lousy 200 rand for the day. You are in your own safe. We need to start creating Mitchell's Plain the safe space that we all want to live in. And we can only do that if we start off by not living in a bubble.
Yes.
And saying, you know, it's easy for me to say, she don't want to work. She wants to be pregnant. She wanted to have a baby at that age. He wants to sit on the corner. He wants to be on the street. Everyone has a story. But we need to take the time and sit and ask that person, why are you sitting here? And in most cases, it's a valuable story, a valid story for that person to be at the point where they are in their lives.
Absolutely.
It's just for us to listen.
Yeah.
And whatever we have, the little that we have is to share what we have.
So how many ladies do you have here now at the moment in the centre?
I have 5 ladies.
Okay.
I had 8 before, but the 8 was because CDI had an internship program. So after they did their training with me, I then sent them for a year further training on an NQF level 2.
Okay.
With Boland College, and then they did their internship year, and I had to pay half, and CDI pays the other half of their stipend. I unfortunately can't afford to employ people on a permanent basis because of load shedding, because of the lack of sales. So I try and be a hosting company for whoever is looking for people to host staff. Like at the moment, they are being paid through a company that is going through the BEE chambers in Johannesburg.
Okay.
Because some companies, they don't employ enough colour in their businesses, and then they like look for hosting companies to employ youth in order for them to obtain their BEE certificate.
Okay.
So that is why. So they were with CDI. They first were with me, then I sent them to CDI, and they did their internship here, and then their contract ended. And then when their contract ended, then I started the new contract with the BEE chambers. And so I like roll.
Okay.
It's sustainable for me at the moment. I'm not able to pay them a salary, but they are working. They are getting a skill, and they're also gaining experience, and they are being paid by a company who's not able to employ them.
I love it. I love it. You go find it. You go find the bits wherever you need to and bolt them on.
Yesterday, you have no idea how I stressed last year from December onwards, because I knew that the CDI stipend was coming to an end, and I needed to find some way, somehow, an opportunity for them to stay here. Yes, it's a benefit to me because they're manufacturing for me, but I also know how much they need an income.
Yes.
And it stressed me out, like literally. I phoned, and once again, you know, I put myself out of that comfort zone where I phone people and I say, listen, this is what I do, this is, how can you help me? Not directly paying me, but paying these young girls so that they can have an income.
I love the work that you do. You this conduit for getting the right resources to the right people where they need them, which is amazing.
And it's difficult sometimes because, you know, everything is about an application form. Fill out this and you fill out that, and I have a problem putting things down on paper. I can't put my heart and my feelings on paper.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not a master in structuring my feelings on paper. And I get irritated because now I have to explain to you, and maybe it's wrong because I expect everybody to have an idea of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and not everybody understands.
Not everybody understands, and not everybody is as connected to textiles as we are.
Yeah, you know, when I go into a fabric shop,
yes,
I actually get depressed because I want to buy everything. I can actually see what I can do with it. And when I get home, I'm so into it that I forget I have a family and a husband and children, that I want to start cutting it because I want to see what it's going to look like when it's done. You know?
I love that story. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful and inspiring story with us today. I appreciate it.
You are welcome.
So much. That was really, really beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome. You are welcome. Thank you for coming out also and showing an interest in our story, because I also believe that people are put onto each other's paths for a reason.
You came very, very, very highly recommended. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I live in hope.
Thank you.